No life like the good life. That's what I like to say. Ah, yeah. Dry Tortugas National Park, VFC's travels on YouTube. Subscribe to the good life. So we can start off by saying if you're going to Key West for just a few days, it's not entirely necessary to get out there to the Dry Tortugas. Key West has some nice beaches of itself. But if you are going to do the Dry Tortugas and take the boat ride on the Yankee Freedom and take a look at Rich Bastard Island there and then Poor Bastard Island here on the right, if you are going to go out to the Dry Tortugas, the boat ride is an option. 2.5 hours it takes you from Key West to get out there to Fort Jefferson in the Dry Tortugas. But the boat ride is money, and the staff is pretty funny. You like how I can rhyme like that? And the weather in Key West, it changes on a dime, so even though it was cloudy in that morning, it turns out to be nice and sunny. Now that seaplane out there is another option to get out to the Dry Tortugas. The boat ride's about $200 on the Yankee Freedom. The seaplane, a 2.5 hour ride, the seaplane gets you out there in about 20 minutes, but it's between $300 and $400 most of the time, sometimes more on the seaplane. 2.5 hours later, here we are rolling up into the Dry Tortugas. The first thing you notice when you pull up here is all the birds. There's tens of thousands of birds that fly from Africa just to hang out at the Dry Tortugas during the springtime. Some people that are bird watchers and bird lovers come out just for these birds. They're absolutely amazing, and the amount of them. So we get off the boat right here on the beach. The seaplane's parked just over here, and we'll quiet down. Now listen to all these birds back there. All the amateur tourists were lining up to take pictures of the fort right away. I went to look for more birds. Found them on this private, secluded little beach. There's a lot of information online about the migration to the Tortugas, and the tour guides give you some information also. I decided to make myself happy on this little beach. I love how all the tourists, when the boat stops, they all get up and line up to take a picture in front of that Tortuga National Park sign. Fucking sign's gonna be there all day. So I got this beach to myself while everybody's standing in fucking line over there. Ah, yeah. There's no life like the good life. That's what I like to say. Ah, yeah. You could either bring your own snorkel gear or you can rent from the American Freedom boat crew. I decided to bring my own. Let's take a look at some of what I saw. Ah, yeah. So if you recall on some of my previous videos from Key West, and you're soft if you haven't gone on my Key West and Florida Keys playlist yet, there are sharks down here in the water, so I'm always shitting myself. I see them sometimes off Key West. So I was back here in the old coal docks that are abandoned now, taking a look at fish, but it's always on the back of my mind to seeing sharks down here. I didn't want to go too far into the docks either because the birds started flying death pats over my head when I came up for air, so I stayed clear, let them have their space. And then when I came out, I saw a beak bigger than mine, which I don't see so often, but there he was. I spent about an hour on that beach, and I was shocked that nobody else came by there because there's good snorkeling there. And you can see all the birds. It's probably the best view of the birds you're going to see. But after that, you can walk the seawall around the fort. I feel like an amateur. I forgot my hair gel. Fucking mess of that shit. Definitely an amateur move on VFC's part. Now, you can't walk the whole seawall around the fort because part of it is broken. So you can do halfway from one side, then you go and walk around the other side. Dropped a piece of bread in there. It attracted a whole bunch of fish for people snorkeling. They were pretty happy with the fish that came from that bread. So then I went to tour the fort. This is the whole historical aspect of Fort Jefferson. It's about 75 miles off Key West, just out in the middle of freaking nowhere. And they built this fort years ago. Some main facts about the fort: started in 1846. It was there to protect the passage to the Gulf of Mexico for the United States. There were soldiers, families, slaves all living here, building. It's a pretty amazing thing to see. Notably, it was held by the North during the Civil War, and you see there's no guardrails or anything up here, so that's why they don't serve you booze on the boat on the way out here. So be careful when you're walking around the fort. And real quick, that couple out there, I know what this guy feels like because I've been through it. That all that girl wanted to do was get her fucking picture taken all over the fort. That's all he did for hours. Every time I saw them, he was taking her picture somewhere. I know what that's like. I feel for you, brother. I hope you got to enjoy yourself a little bit too. So Fort Jefferson was also a prison, and the most famous prisoner in there was Dr. Samuel Mudd. and he set Boot's broken leg after he assassinated Abraham Lincoln, so he was sent to prison for that. Now, because Mud was a doc, during the yellow fever outbreak, he really did a great job helping people, saving people and all that. And for his heroic action there, he was actually received a pardon. You can see down there that poor guy was still taking pictures, but like I said, be careful up here. If you snuck booze on the boat, be very careful up here. There's nothing to catch you, and the closest medevac's a couple hours away. So I looked around the fort, a lot of history, good plaques. There's a tour you can take, you can read about it, but you can't beat that. Happy hour prices, $4 for a Copa de Vino. That's what I'm talking about. Cheers, salute. No life like the good life. So a couple of things with the Fort Jefferson Dry Tortugas trip. Don't worry about the food. When you get online, it says there's no food out here. The boat takes care of you. They got you a bagel for breakfast, and they got you some more complimentary items. And then they got lunch for you, Jersey Mike's sub. And then there's snacks for sale. Only thing that pisses me off, after 1 o'clock and they don't have any wine, and I'm on holiday. Come on now. They tease you, though. They have it all sitting behind the freaking bar, but you can't get it till 1:30. Everybody jumps in on that tour, so they do like a tour at 11 o'clock, so most of the people from the boat ride are doing that tour. So if you want some downtime, alone photography time, that's a good time to walk around, get your own pictures, or jump on the tour. Another thing, if you're afraid of heights, you're not getting up on top of that fort. Don't even climb up them stairs if you're afraid of heights. It's not happening. Snorkeling's pretty good, this area with the birds. And along the seawall, saw some pretty cool stuff. Snorkeling's fun. You can bring your own gear, or you can use theirs. Lots and lots of sunscreen. You're exposed out here. There's not very much shade. It's hot as shit. Sun's bearing down. It was cloudy this morning, as you can see when we left, but it's hot as shit. I got like 16 layers of sunscreen on. Don't forget the hair gel. I forgot the hair gel, and look at this mess. Holy shit, don't forget the hair gel. You can find a place to sit down, have a picnic. There's picnic chairs set up. There's a couple of beaches. There's this, I don't know why nobody's on this little beach. It's nice, and all the birds are right over there. It's wine time, so I'm gonna go sit on the boat, get some wine, and wait that last half hour till we take off back to Key West. Subscribe to the channel, follow on Instagram, BFC's Travels, No Life Like a Good Life. So it's actually called the Dry Tortugas out here because there's no fresh water, and that was a way to tell everybody, if you come here, don't expect to see any fresh water. They saved rainwater, that's what they drank. I turned some dollars into wine myself, and it was a pain in the ass to drink it in the wind. And then this guy absolutely cracked me up. He's wearing a US Air Force Academy t-shirt, but you could see he's saying to himself, I should have fucking gone Navy, you can tell. So the Dry Tortugas, Key West, Florida, is where you get the boat to Yankee Freedom. It's about $200. And like I said, if you're only a few days in Key West has enough to avoid the Dry Tortugas. But if you're going to be there for a week or so, and you can book way in advance, you got to book way in advance. It's worth the trip. Dry Tortugas, VFC's Travels on YouTube. There's no life like the good life.